Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Shining Light podcast show where I interview amazing people who are spreading positivity in their communities. Before I introduce you to my wonderful guest, I just want to share with everyone we just finished our great mastermind session in the Take Action community. The Take Action community is taking action and it's taking off. So if you want to learn more about our Take Action community and how you could join us in our next mastermind, just DM me or reach out to me via email, michael@michaelespositoinc.com. We have a great guest speaker coming into our next mastermind session, which is going to take place August 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via Zoom. Mark Albert, 7 Emmy Award. Actually, he's got more than 7 Emmys. He updated me. 7 Emmys. He's been a TV broadcaster, and he's going to be sharing his tips on how to work with the media to be able to promote your business. Now, without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to my guest here who works with her clients or sometimes patients, well, people who are patients, in helping advocate for their healthcare, advocate for the proper and affordable healthcare. And please welcome Rhonda Nelson.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks, Rhonda. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you on. I'm excited to learn about how you advocate for people like myself, for people who are in need of healthcare, of making sure that we're getting the proper care taken care of us.
Right. So this my journey started actually because I am a patient. I have a disease called aspirin exacerbated respiratory disease. Shortened down, it's called AERD. So if you hear me refer to that, you will know what it is. And I became involved with Allergy Asthma Network quite a few years ago by attending one of their Capitol Hill days, which happens every May. And that is a day where whatever bills that are proposed uh, are we go to our representatives, our senators, and we speak to them about these bills. It's whatever Allergy and Asthma Network is working on. And just to give them all of the positive reasons why these bills should be passed. Subsequent to that, I then became and still am a board member for Allergy Asthma Network, and it's just an absolute great organization. There's many things that they do. We have outreach in the form of volunteer network where we give support to patients. There's an award-winning magazine that they put out. There's a ton of patient guides for people to understand how to better manage their condition and resources to support them. We also do printed and digital resources for education purposes. So patients can learn about maybe clinical trials that are going on, physicians that they may not know about who treat their diseases, just all kinds of information in that regard. And we do also continuing education for healthcare professionals to allow them to have an understanding, not only from a patient's perspective, but also from the medical perspective, but just of what patients really go through who have these particular diseases.
Hmm. So when you're advocating, is it particular to certain diseases? Like for you, it's with asthma, or is it as a whole for different types of diseases?
So for me personally, it's for asthma and allergies, and everything that falls under that. For instance, my particular disease, AERD, follows under the umbrella of Allergy and Asthma Network. There's eczema. There's nasal polyps. There's all kinds of allergies and skin diseases, and all of that falls under their umbrella. So we advocate for all of them.
Gotcha. And so and this is my ignorance because I've been very fortunate in not having to deal with anything specifically other than the little like broken arm kind of injuries for myself that healthcare kind of pretty much covers for me. What are the challenges that people like yourself, or I have a niece who deals with eczema, what are the challenges that people like yourself deal with that you need this advocacy?
So in my case, in particular, It took me several years to get a diagnosis for AERD. One, primarily because it back then, some 20 plus years ago, it wasn't well known. Very specific, it was very specific. Very few doctors understood it. So that is one of the issues, is, finding uh,
Practitioners.
practitioners, thank you, that treat the particular disease that you have. Now, having said that, there are, when you have just basic asthma, and I say basic very loosely, but when you have asthma alone, there are many physicians that treat that and treat it well. But when it gets into more specific things like eosinophil asthma, my condition, AERD, et cetera, the number of physicians that treat things like that are very specialized. And so we help patients find those particular doctors that specialize. And it's not always right there in their backyard. Sometimes patients travel either by car for hours, or they will take a plane trip to find a doctor that specializes in their disease.
So yeah, so helping them find the right practitioners, the right doctors, physicians to be able to help them in whatever it is that they're dealing with, and of course, providing the education so that they can learn a little bit about that. The other thing that you mentioned is also affordability. And so when we're talking about affordability, my assumption first goes to, of course, these bills and working in that space for affordability. How do you help the patients directly in terms of affordability?
Well, people navigating your insurance plan
Mm,
is a full-time job,
there you
right?
go.
And so not a lot of people um, really understand how their insurances work, and they don't understand, how to work with the system in order to get things approved. And so we have a lot of education about that, and to
Mhm,
help navigate that system, because it can be very frustrating. And what we find is that many times patients will just give up, because it's
mhm.
easier to give up, um, because they don't necessarily understand how to get through all of the processes that need to get through. Now, having said that, I will say many, many, many physicians' offices have people on staff that will also help patients navigate that.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people who gave up. I dealt with a serious skiing injury, dislocated and broke my shoulder and everything, and I had a doctor's bill. It was only $500, but for whatever reason, I mean, at the time I just finished graduating college, so $500 to me was, more than I could imagine at the
Right.
time, and I let that just pretty much, I just ignored it
Hmm.
because I was like, I can't pay it. I don't understand why I'm paying it or whatever. And it wasn't until actually one of my managers at a job told me, he said, "Hey, you don't have to pay the 500 up front. You could just pay it in like increments, but call them." He
Yes,
said, "Get in
exactly.
communication with them." So I'm assuming that this is stuff that you do with your clients as well, right?
Absolutely. People don't realize that, okay, you get this bill, and your eyes are like,
Yeah.
oh, what do I do now? Right. But as if you call them, I would say 9 times out of 10, the organization or will work with you.
Yeah.
They understand that not everyone can just pay whatever amount is thrown at them, you know?
Mhm.
So there is that. There's also just understanding, well, I'll give you a for instance. I had to have a scan, and because of, if I used my insurance, the wait was going to be something like 6 weeks to get an appointment. But if I went as a self-pay patient, I got an appointment within 4 days.
Mm,
The logic behind that is crazy, but what it is that they had to go through the process with my insurance to get it pre-approved, right? So I went as a self-pay patient, and I paid for the scan. Um, about 4 months later, I got a bill because they had filed it with my insurance company. So that's the that's number one no no. Number two, then they were billing me for the percentage that the insurance company did not pay. And so I kept calling. Every month I would call, every single month. And I kept saying to them, this needs to be adjusted. And this is the reason why. And please, I want to make sure this doesn't go to collections. It was a very small amount, but nevertheless, they'd been paid twice, right? Sure enough, I got a letter that they had sent it to collections. So I had to go back, but that's the kind of frustrating thing people don't understand. You can't just ignore it. You have to keep on and keep on and keep on. And some people just don't understand that's what they have to do, or they don't understand the language that the provider is using about the co-pays and 20% and pre-approvals and all of that. People, so we try to educate a lot about that as well.
And it sounds like and support, right? And you're supporting these people because they're frustrated and they need somebody to vent to that understands their frustration, and that's kind of where you come in.
Yes.
Is it my understanding this is a non-for-profit that you work with, and
Yes.
this is really so total non-for-profit. And so how can people reach out to you? How can people learn more about your services? What are you doing in order to educate the population on that you guys exist?
So people can find me at my website, rhondabnelson.com. You can reach out to me there, and I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can, or direct you to resources that can help someone. Also, the Allergy Asthma Network website is a wealth of information, and it's allergyasthmanetwork.org. And I would just really encourage people, it is to go to the website and just to dig. There is so much information there and so many good directions that can help you or help a patient find what they need.
Fantastic. Awesome. So yeah, so people can visit your website, go to the allergy website. All of that'll be in the comment section of this post here today. Can visit all of that. And this is all non-for-profit. So if you're experiencing any challenges, any difficulties, whether it's trying to just figure out self-diagnosis of what's going on with me, and need some education and some help in getting to a point where you can find the right practitioner or physician to help you, Rhonda's the right person to go to. And then, of course, what as you just said, some advocacy, some support there as well as to whether it's understanding your bill or being able to speak to the right people, find the right people, and then also have someone to vent with and speak with that understands your pain. Rhonda's the right person to reach out to. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. As always, I like to just turn it over to you. Any last words? Anything last moment that you'd like to share with everybody? Any other resources that you'd like to share with everyone as we conclude?
What I really want to say to people is don't be afraid to be your own advocate. Speak up and fight for what you know is best for your body, because we really are the ones that know what is best for us. And
Mm.
I think we need to take the stigma away from being afraid to advocate for ourselves and for our body and for our health. Because it does sometimes go against what our practitioners are telling us, but again, we are the ones that know best for our bodies.
Yeah, and so I think what you're saying there is simply sometimes a second or third opinion is certainly in the realm of things to do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. Thanks everybody for watching. You can find us streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube. To learn more about Rhonda, just check out the comments. You'll go to rhondabnelson.com and then also the Allergy Network's website to learn more. Of course, you can follow her on social media. She's hooked up and connected with me here on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you're on other platforms as well, right, Rhonda?
Absolutely. Yes.
Fantastic. Thanks everybody for watching. As always, we are live every Thursday at 1 p.m. with amazing people like Rhonda spreading positivity in their communities. Stay happy and stay healthy, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.